Brought to you by GTA, your island, your network.
The news was too good to hold back.
This past fiscal year, our general line agencies in the general fund made about a $10 million surplus.
Governor Eddie Calvo says while they still wait for the finances from the Department of Education to come in, he announced that based on an audit of FY 2016 finances, the Government of Guam should expect a surplus. And while a $10 million surplus is still news to rave about, it does not necessarily eliminate the entire $100 million plus deficit.
I wish we could have wiped out the accumulated deficit, but we're going on the right direction.
Department of Administration Director Christine Boleto says GovGuam collected $20 million more revenue as compared to the prior fiscal year. She adds when you look at what was actually appropriated in the last budget versus what was actually spent, the government agencies implemented good fiscal practices over the year that allowed GovGuam to realize this surplus. Meanwhile, Calvo says the government workforce has been static, but he says what's contributing to the deficit is several factors not in control of our local government. For example, he says we have about $1.4 billion in compliance issues with the Clean Air and Clean Water Acts, $60 million for EITC, $40 million in Medicaid, and $12 million taken out of Section 30 from the federal court for non-consent decree compliance. He adds for EITC and Medicaid, for example, unlike the states, these are not covered 100% by the feds here at home.
So, though I'm not happy to have an accumulated deficit of $100 million, I think we've done a pretty darn good job based on the unfunded mandates by the Obama administration and the federal government.
Calvo adds when he first came into office, the deficit was actually $340 million, with the government's revenues at $600 million. In comparison, he says total annual revenues are now close to $900 million, with this deficit now decreased to the low $100 million with this recent surplus. Calvo says he hopes to work more with Appropriations Chairman Speaker B.J. Cruz on GovGuam's finances. He congratulates the Speaker for helping the situation in terms of the budget and lowering revenue estimates, but is also critical of Cruz over an irresponsible hybrid bill passed last year. Calvo says this will cause a long-term financial problem for future administrations, along with future legislatures, retirees, and taxpayers of Guam. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Ken Quintanilla.
Brought to you by GTA, your island, your network.